Thank y'all for getting Pet Simulator X to 1 million concurrent players. That's absolutely insane.
Preston, the face behind big games, would go from a 12-year-old Roblox developer to leading one of the biggest studios in all of Roblox history. With big games being so influential, according to Yahoo Finance, they would even cause a surge in Roblox's stock price. With this, Preston would become one of the richest Roblox developers on the entire platform, earning himself tens of millions of dollars. But fast forward to 2025, and things have changed. A lot. The latest Pet Simulator struggles to pull even a fraction of its former player count, with the entirety of Roblox turning against big games. Preston is IRL Mr. Krabs. Bro is gonna create a new generation of gambling addicts. All of the backlash eventually caused Preston to step down from Big Game Studio, with people reacting, soldiers reading Hitler's dead newspaper. Good riddance. You might be wondering, where did everything go so wrong? To find out, we must go back to the beginning. In September of 2011, at the age of 10, Preston would create his very first Roblox account with the username Silver's World Gold 2. As he would explore the platform more and more, he would develop a fascination with Roblox game development. Inspired by the popular games, he dreamed of one day releasing his own. While this sounded good in theory, for an 11-year-old, this was a big dream. If he wanted to keep up with other developers, it would require some serious dedication. Preston would get straight to work, watching tutorials, visiting forums and wikis, and learning Roblox's programming language, Lua. Shortly after, he would release his humble first game called Limited Tycoon. Over the next 2 years, he would go all in on game development, releasing a couple more titles. With each subsequent release, he would learn more and more, allowing for the next game to be better. In 2014, he would release a game known as Giant Survival. On November 28, 2014, the official Roblox YouTube channel would post a video on the game. Despite its simple concept, the game would go on to garner over 51 million visits. While this doesn't seem like a lot, considering this was when Roblox had a fraction of the players it does today, it was very impressive. Especially so for a 13-year-old. With this newfound success, he would rename his company to Big Game Studio and would release a new natural disaster game titled Disaster Dome. This game would also see some decent success, with it hitting 34.2 million visits. But with this success, something must be noted. Disaster Dome shared a lot of resemblance to a much earlier game from 2008 called Natural Disaster Survival. His other game, Giant Survival, also took inspiration from a different giant game. Taking ideas from popular games is something Preston was pretty good at. Keep this in mind, as later, this will be important. For now, Preston would continue developing Roblox games, but despite a couple million visits, they never quite found the breakout success he was hoping for. He was constantly brainstorming for the next popular idea, until finally, he found something that would change big games forever. On June 1st, 2018, Preston would tweet, "Been planning this for the longest time. Never been so excited to release a project." The release would go by the name Pet Simulator. Its concept was simple. You select a pet, use that pet to collect coins, and use those coins to purchase eggs in hopes of getting better pets. While there were other layers such as events and trading, this was pretty much the gist of the game. This simple gameplay allowed any age to be able to understand and enjoy the game. This, mixed with the satisfying loop of getting better pets, created an experience which was hard to put down. Within 2 hours of its launch, the game accumulated 5,000 active players. This, however, would only be the beginning. 3 weeks later, the game would 10x its player count, reaching 50,000 active players. 2.5 months later, it would nearly triple its player count. The game would eventually go on to amass over 1 billion visits, becoming Preston's first significant success. At just 17 years old, Preston was suddenly making life-changing amounts of money, with tweets such as, "At Preston, I'll buy your Twitter handle for 20k. While the success of Pet Simulator was impressive, following this, Preston would release 2 new games, a first-person shooter named Big Paintball, and a tycoon game called My Restaurant. These both would also see insane amounts of success, instantaneously rising to Roblox's front page. To put into perspective how successful these games were, the official Roblox Monopoly set would include both of these games as locations on the game board. The amount of money Preston was now making was almost unfathomable. He wouldn't be shy about flexing his newfound wealth on Twitter with videos of his McLaren, and him tweeting about casually dropping $250,000 on stocks. Well, hard to believe, things would get even better. He would release Pet Simulator 2. Although the game only saw a fraction of the original success, it was still a crucial step. It would set the framework for his biggest release yet, Pet Simulator X. As one player put it, "I'm happy that they knew that people liked the mechanics of the first game and the style of the second game, so they mixed them together to create a masterpiece." Pet Simulator X vastly expanded the variety of pets, adding new tiers of rarity like Huge and Titanic. The sheer difficulty of obtaining these, along with new ways to progress, created a dopamine-inducing experience. This in turn made trading even more important, with players spending countless hours analyzing prices, scouting for deals, and flipping pets. Preston would also consistently update the game, adding new worlds, pets, and events. These updates would have exclusive time-limited drops, making players return out of fear of missing out. What followed was a level of success Roblox had never seen before. On July 29, 2021, the game would officially release and would instantaneously reach 90,000 active players. 10 days later, the game would double its active players, sitting at an insane 180,000 active players. While it's all too common for a Roblox game to suddenly explode in popularity and fade away just as quickly, Pet Simulator X, however, would prove to be a different story, with this just being the beginning. A month and 10 days later, the game would become the first ever simulator to reach over 400,000 active players. Over the next year, he would continue to release weekly updates, adding more and more content to the game. With this, Pet Simulator X would continue to steadily grow. At one point, in fact, Pet Simulator X became so big that the sheer volume of data and interactions being processed would actually place stress on Roblox's infrastructure, leading to temporary outages. For content creators, the game was a goldmine. Videos on the game would regularly rack up tens of millions of views, making the YouTubers tons of money while also further promoting the game. Following this, at the 2023 Roblox Innovation Awards, Pet Simulator X would win an award for the most active players on any game.
And present the next award for most concurrent users.
The award goes to The Experience with 1.48 million concurrent Pet Simulator X.
What's up, RDC? Preston couldn't make it, so on behalf of Preston and everybody at Big Games, I wanted to say thank y'all for getting Pet Simulator X to 1.0 million concurrent players. That's absolutely insane.
To put into perspective, CSGO, the most played game in Steam's history, holds a record of 1.81 million concurrent players. The game was so huge, in fact, Yahoo Finance would post an article explaining how the game's popularity caused Roblox's stock price to surge by 4%. The game would go down as one of the most successful and impactful releases in the entire platform's history, with it garnering an insane 9 billion total visits. But just as everything seemed to be going so perfectly, a problem would begin to come up. While a lot of Pet Simulator X's long-term success was due to its consistent updates, Preston was responsible for almost all of them himself. With the game having such a large community, the pressure was immense. If he was to release an update which players didn't like, or wanted to take a break due to Burnout, it would be met with severe backlash. The game is dead without updates. People bought passes with the assumption that the game would last longer. Preston would tweet, "At some point, you run out of ideas and motivation. and it becomes more of a forced responsibility rather than something you enjoy. That results in bad updates. While this sounded pretty bad, Preston would use this as an opportunity to take Big Game Studio to the next level. With all of his newfound wealth, he was able to take a corporate approach and hire a team of staff and developers. This meant that Preston could focus more so on the important decisions like planning better updates, while the developers would take on the time-consuming grunt work. This sounded like a win-win for everyone. However, this corporate structure and newfound success seemed to have made Preston forget where he came from. Previously on his Twitter, he would call out a fellow Roblox developer. "You can't replace coins with food and call it an original IP. This isn't inspired, it's a greed-fueled intellectual property theft." This public outburst was almost laughable, considering this was precisely what he had done his entire game development career. What he would do next would take this unhinged hypocrisy to the next level, turning the entire Roblox community against him in the process. Someone would tweet out, "Preston is filing a DMCA strike request because his cat is too similar." Another person would tweet, "They deleted my game Axolotl Tycoon. Don't use any animals in your game." Preston truly believed that the square design of his pets were his intellectual property and would strike down all other games which shared any similarities. Players would take to Reddit, "Preston's ego is insane. He made millions from making unoriginal games and has the audacity to strike down other games? How to be a scumbag. DMCA take down every small game with pets while being a millionaire." If this hypocrisy wasn't enough to turn the community against Big Games, the company's business practices soon would. Big Games would announce a drop of 12 new NFTs based on in-game pets. Users who would purchase the NFTs would receive in-game benefits. One user would question the morality of including NFTs in a children's game, to which Preston would respond with, "Never went into it with morality in mind. We just think the tech is cool." To which somebody would respond, "Well, I mean, it seems like it would have been a good idea to go into developing a children's game with some form of morality in mind." Each of these 12 NFTs would go on to sell for an absurd $153,000 US. Someone would react, "The most money-hungry dev known to man." Due to the public backlash, Roblox would even update their terms of service, prohibiting NFTs. On December 1st, 2023, Big Games would release Pet Simulator 99. On day 1, the game was a massive success, doubling Pet Sim X's day 1 active players. Just a month after release, the game peaked at 400,000 concurrent players. This, however, would turn out to be its peak, as the following months saw a steady decline in daily active players. Platforms like Steam often pay developers 70% or more of a game's revenue. Roblox, however, only gives close to 25%. While this explains why Roblox games are often heavily monetized, Pet Simulator 99 took this to the next level. The game was meticulously crafted to incentivize spending as much Robux as possible. Someone would explain, "The game is basically, you don't want to spend money? Okay, then you'll have to work through hell to earn it." The game basically forces you to buy the teleport pass if you don't want to spend 2 minutes walking to the end and back. Worse yet, the game would have events. Each event would introduce a new set of pets. If we look at the Valkyrie Egg event, for example, the rarest pet, which also lets you fly by the way, has an insane 0.05% chance to hatch. The only way to get these eggs, however, involves spending Robux. Buying 10 eggs costs 3,200 Robux. If we do the math, or let AI do it, it shows that to get the rarest pet, you would have to spend a mind-blowing average of 640,000 Robux. Another huge problem was that the entire game was built around random chance. The pets with insanely low hatch rates would make the game incredibly addictive. Players never know when the next big win will come, encouraging them to keep trying just one more time. Pet Simulator will make a new generation of gambling addicts. With the majority of the game's player base being children, sometimes as young as toddlers, this was very concerning. Kids often lack the self-control and critical thinking skills to realize they're being taken advantage of, and often can't grasp the real value of money. Here is someone explaining their in-game strategy. So I left 4 accounts AFKing overnight. This morning, I woke up and the results are 2 Titanic and 45 Huges. This passive style of gameplay led to a stale and lonely community, as a large portion of the player base was inactive. The game got boring, and I don't call 95% AFK a game. Today, the game has a fraction of its former peak player count, sitting at close to 20,000 active players. With the amount of alts, the real number is likely even much lower. On June 17, 2025, in a last-ditch effort for relevancy, Big Games would release Steal a Pet. Considering the whole DMCA situation, this game almost seemed like a joke. The release would be a complete flop, with its player count barely scraping a couple hundred active players. All of this negativity would eventually lead Preston to make an important announcement: his departure from Big Game Studio to pursue other things. The community would react to the announcement, soldiers reading Hitler's Dead newspaper, and good riddance. Having made generational wealth off of Roblox, and with Twitter posts like this, it seemed like he no longer had a reason to continue.